What up, guys? So imagine you live in a first world country and you wake up one morning and find out that the government made an announcement about the currency and it instantly loses 20%, and so your home value goes down by 20% instantly. Like, that was a reality for people in Switzerland when the Swiss National Bank announced that it's depegging the Swiss franc from the euro. And it impacted me as well, because at the time I was manning the European trading desk at this algorithmic trading firm in Chicago. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. It's circa 2014, and me and a good friend of mine, we decided we're going to spin off and try to start our own trading firm. We're trying to figure things out, and it turns out that my harlot of an ex-girlfriend was sleeping with this guy. And so our business plans go out the window. It's like, all right, well, that sucks. And, you know, I'm unemployed for a few months at this point. So I'm like, all right, I guess I should just find a regular trading job again. And so I'm working with this headhunter. He gets me in touch with this Goldman Sachs spinoff where they have this slick little algorithmic trading firm, fully automated, trading thousands of equities. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty dope. And so I go 3 interviews deep with these guys, and they're supposed to give me an offer or reject me. And then they just ghost me instead. And I'm like, what happened? And my headhunter's like, oh, I don't know. So I'm like, man, that's so rude. All right, well, I'm gonna just move to New York City because I know more people there. I'm from there. And I'm like, whatever, I'll look for jobs in New York City. But then like a month later, my headhunter calls me and he's like, bro, they reached out. They want you, man. Just come back. They just want to do one last interview. I'm like, nah, bro, that's just disrespectful. Like, you know, they just ghosted me. And he's like, come on, man. It's not even like a real interview. They just want to like double check that you guys are still on the same page. And, you know, they said they're sorry about how they just kind of lost touch. My headhunter at the time, he really wants me to come back. So he's basically like, dude, I'll pay for your flight and hotel. Just come back. These guys are going to make an offer. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I come back, we chit chat a little bit, and then they give me an offer, but then there's a catch. They're like, we really want you to man the European desk. We're starting a European desk. And I'm like, bro, really? And they're like, yeah, it'll only be for like the first 6 months or so. But after that, we'll move you to the US desk. But come on, man, you got to pay your dues. It's a rough job market out there, you know? I'm like, oh man, these guys, they know that I've been unemployed for a while and starting to look bad to have a gap in my resume. So they're kind of like squeezing me, you know? And I'm like, all right, fine, 6 months, right? Okay, sure, I'll do it. And so I'm manning this European desk, and, you know, it's not all bad because it's just me alone there. And so I'll only admit this because I'm retired, but I would just take naps there sometimes when it was like quiet. And, you know, you're basically just kind of like babysitting the automation anyways. It's a fully automated trading firm. And so this like impressive trading system, you see the trade blotter and you just see every second a new fill come in. It's like up $10 in Apple, up $10 in Google, up $15 in Tesla. And these fills just keep trickling in, and, you know, it's like small amounts of money, but then at the end of the day, it's like scraping crumbs off the table. And at the end of the day, you have a whole loaf. And so it's kind of a cool business model, you know, just watching this machine just pull money out of the market. It's like a perpetual motion machine. Or like, it's like when they say, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, buddy. But it actually does. Like, this was like a money tree. Like, it was just printing money. So anyways, I'm sitting there, I'm taking a nap, and, you know, this trading system, and most trading systems, they have these little trade sounds like cha-ching and like, you know, wah, wah, or something like when you lose money. But I'm taking this nap and suddenly I hear this like super alarming sound, which is like the kind of sound you might expect from like if you're in a submarine and everything goes red and there's like a water breach or something. It was like a bram, bram, like a crazy alarming sound, and it like woke me up and startled me. I was like, what the hell is that? So I'm like half asleep and I'm like looking at the screen and I see the P&L number and it's got like multiple zeros, like negative, like more than a normal P&L range. And I was like, what, is that a glitch or something? You know, because that can happen because some equity gets like delisted or something, like, you know, it can create these weird situations. So initially I'm like, it's got to be something like that. But then I look at the TV and in big red letters it's like, announcement, the Swiss franc depegged from the euro, financial markets are in turmoil. And I'm like, oh, is this related? You know, so I like look to see like more specifically what sector, like what part of our portfolio is taking the most damage. And, you know, I'm sorting by P&L and it's like all the Swiss stocks. I'm like, oh no, this is real. And so we have this protocol where if we lose like a certain amount of money, like a certain threshold, then I have to escalate and call up the head portfolio manager of my firm. But if we lose even more than that, like you add a couple zeros to that, then I have to call up the founder and CEO of the firm, who's this like gentle, soft-spoken old Jewish guy. And so I was like, I guess I got to call this guy up. So I'm like kind of like nervous, and I'm like, okay, I have to like think about what I'm gonna say. Okay, all right. And then I like go to call him, and I'm picturing him in like his big golden bed with like, you know, his like old-timey Scrooge McDuck golden telephone, and I call him, and he's just like, hello. Like he sounds kind of raspy and hoarse, and I'm like, oh hi there, sorry to wake you. We're down a lot of money here in Europe. It looks like the Swiss franc depegged from the euro. And he's like, oh, I see. Let me turn the TV on. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't really think there was much I could have done about it. You know, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. It's your first month. These things happen. And then, you know, we just get to talking, and he gives me some like guidance on what to do. You know, like I won't go into like the details because it could be like proprietary. But then he's basically just like, I'll be in the office soon. Just hang in there, all right? And I'm like, yeah, sure, thank you. And so he comes in, the head portfolio manager comes in, you know, we're all huddled around the trade desk, and, you know, we figure out what's the best course of action. And by the end of the day, you know, obviously we lose a lot of money, but it's like an acceptable loss where we'll still stay in business. But it was scary. And, you know, I also was worried for my job, but, you know, luckily I didn't lose my job. And so, yeah, it turns out, you know, in hindsight, like reflecting on what happened there, it turns out that, well, actually, we don't really know what happened there, but I think people speculate that, you know how Swiss banks are places where like corrupt money, like people hide their money, like, you know, gangsters from the United States and stuff. Like, it turns out that a lot of people think that a lot of these like US corrupt guys put pressure on the Swiss National Bank, because when they were keeping that money in euros, it was doing really poorly against the US dollar. And so there's a lot of speculation as to what happened there, because normally, you know, when you're going to make a big currency change like that, you would give some warnings in advance so that it won't shock the financial markets so badly. And so we still don't really know what happened there, but if anything, it's a warning about fiat currencies, right? That shadowy figures can just make big changes to the fiat currency, and your home price can just lose 20% instantly. And that's scary to think about, right? And, you know, it's kind of an argument for crypto and Bitcoin, because at least those, they're decentralized and it's the people's money. So, you know, while it's pretty volatile right now as it's sort of finding its footing and gaining liquidity and being established, the volatility of things like crypto should slow down over time as they get more established and uncertainty gets reduced. This isn't financial advice in any way, but it makes me think that we do need some kind of a decentralized cryptocurrency, because I don't want all of my money in something that can be manipulated so easily by shadowy figures in the dark. You know what I mean? So anyways, hey, what's up? Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna get going, but I hope you enjoyed this story. Okay? All right, take it easy. See ya.